Hello students, today we are going to discuss the second tool, that is the vector. Vectors, they are also known as the cloning vectors. So there are three types of tools in the recombinant DNA technology. They are the enzymes, then the vector and the competent host. We have completed the first, that is the enzyme. Then we are coming to the next tool, that are the vectors or the cloning vectors. So let's just start. So what are the cloning vectors? They are actually also known as the carriers. If we want to carry a gene fragment from one organism and we want to transfer into a different organism, okay, to alter the genetic makeup or in order to change the phenotype of the organism, then we need to carry our gene of interest into the host body. So how it is possible that we can carry the genes? See, it is not at all easy task so that we can able to transfer a gene fragment directly, because it is very much small molecular in size. DNA fragments cannot be taken by just a spoon and transfer into the host body. It will be never possible. So that's why we will require some type of carriers who will take the gene fragment and we will incorporate into the host body. So what are they? They are known as the vectors. So in the first video itself I have told you that what are the vectors. Vectors are generally the circular DNA. So those circular DNA we can able to cut with the help of the restriction enzyme. We will add the gene of interest and after that we will make the vector as a recombinant DNA or the rDNA, and then the rDNA will be introduced into the host body for its multiplication. So these are the vectors. See, what are the vectors? These vectors are also called as the carrier DNA. Remember, it is also known as the carrier DNA, or also it is known as the cloning vehicle, right? So what is the definition of the vector? That any DNA segment which is used to carry a foreign DNA segment is called as the vector or a carrier. So sometime in your exam it will be asked like, what is a vector? Give one example of a vector and mention the sides of a vector that need to be present to be called as a good vector or a good carrier. So we will see that. Before that, we need to know the characteristics of the vectors. What are the characteristics should be present in a circular DNA so that we can consider that circular DNA as a vector, right? So the vector should be very much small in the size, okay? So they need to be very small in size and low molecular weight so that they can have increased stability, okay? So that we can have an enhanced stability, they need to have a very small size. A very large circular DNA will have less stability. So small DNA, that means circular DNA, should be there of low molecular weight. Then we can consider that circular DNA as a good vector. Next one, easy isolation and purification. Suppose we made the vector as a rDNA. Then obviously we have to isolate that rDNA. We can introduce suppose into the host cell. From the host cell we can able to get the rDNA back. Okay. So for that reason we need to have a vector which can be easily purified or easily isolated for our purpose. Next one, ability to replicate itself to ability to replicate itself to make more copy number. See, whenever we make one plasmid, suppose one vector, that vector have our gene fragment. So it will be introduced into the host body. So whenever the host body will replicate, our gene fragment in the vector will also replicate. So they need to have this characteristics that they have to have the replication power. And some of the vector will replicate very easily, very rapidly. Some of the vectors will replicate at a slower rate. So the capacity of the replication of that vector of that circular DNA is known as the copy number. Okay, suppose suppose cloning vector or one vehicle, they have a very high copy number. That means they have high replication capacity, or within very small period of time they will replicate in a very fast rate. Okay, so that will be our cloning vector. So that should be a good characteristics of the cloning vector. Next one, easy transformation into the host cell. Suppose we make this vector as the rDNA, then after that we introduce into the host cell. So the host cell should accept it and we can able to easily transform our rDNA into the host body. Suppose we make one rDNA but it is not able to enter inside the host body, then that vector would be of no use. So that's why easily we have to introduce the rDNA, that means the vector with the foreign gene, into the host body, then we can call that this is a good vector. Next one, ability to integrate either itself or into the host genome. That means the vector should have its own capacity to replicate. Suppose this is a host body. Inside the host body we transform the rDNA. They have to replicate by itself. Along with that, they also can replicate itself into the host gene. Okay, so that vector should have that characteristics that it has the capacity to replicate itself. Okay, have the ability to integrate either itself or into the host genome. Into the host genome also they can be incorporated and they can replicate, right? The next characteristics, that more recognition sites. That means one cloning vector. Suppose this is the cloning vector. In that cloning vector, more and more recognition sites will be present. Normally one recognition site is there, suppose. Okay, so along with that they need to have more recognition sites, then it will be a very good vector. Okay, what is recognition sites and all I will tell you whenever we will discuss the characteristics, whenever we will discuss the different sites of the vector. We'll discuss it, don't worry. So more recognition sites will be there. That should be present, then only we can call that vector is a good vector. Next one, vector DNA and the host DNA should be cut by the same restriction enzyme. Okay, that is a very good thing, very important thing. Suppose this is the gene fragment, right? And this is a host, right? Now in that host body we into that vector we have cut in this region. Okay, they make a blunted by the suppose that specific restriction enzyme. If that same restriction enzyme will not then cut the gene fragment and then they will form and suppose a different sequence in different palindromic sequence it cuts, then it will be not possible that whenever we want to make a suppose rDNA, suppose we have cut, then what will happen, this gene fragment will not able to attach. Okay, because they need to have a specific sequence. Nitrogenous bases should be there in that region only. Suppose in between that specific nitrogenous base pair only they need to cut by the same restriction enzyme, because only that same restriction enzyme will cut in that same specific regions. Okay, so they will have a specific recognition site. Okay, so what happened in that gene fragment that should be cut and our vector should be cut by the same vector DNA and a host DNA should be cut by the same restriction enzyme CS. So what are they? These are the characteristics. Okay, one thing, if it is the more recognition site, that means the vector should have more than one palindromic sequence. Okay, so that if the gene fragment have to be inserted, multiple gene copy can be inserted into the same vector. Okay, so that's why they need to have more and more recognition site or more and more palindromic site, so that we can cut in that specific region and more than one gene fragment can be inserted. So yeah, these are the characteristics of a good vector. So we can able to call yes, that is a good vector. Then after that, let's just move to the next part. After that, let's just see that to be called as a vector should have the following features. That means a vector should have the following characteristics, following specific regions, then only a vector can be called as a vector, and vector can perform well. Okay, so see, what are the following features we need to know that a vector must have. Okay, so just see, this is a very much important question, and these questions are asked almost in every exams. Okay, so just see, first characteristics that should be present in a vector, that is the ORI. ORI means this is origin of replication. So what is that origin of replication? Actually, see, before telling you the lines, first of all, let us show here, this is suppose one vector. Okay, right? Now this vector from one specific point, okay, suppose this is a vector, okay, suppose it is a circular DNA. So at least from one specific region, this vector will start to replicate. Replicate means one will multiply two. Okay, so what will happen? Just see, this is supposed a vector, right? So that vector, how the process of replication will start, see. So first of all, what happened, that in between them, the nitrogenous base pair, the hydrogen bond will start to remove. Okay, so hydrogen bond start to break, and a new gene fragment, that means another nucleotide sequence, will start to form. Okay, and this way it will grow. Okay, this way it will multiply. Okay, and after that what we are going to have, just see that it is going to multiply into a numbers like this. Okay, this way it will multiply, and at one period of time what will happen, that we can able to get the two vectors, that means one vector multiply into two, right? So what is the ORI or origin of replication? See, so I hope you understand that all of us, we know that circular DNA or that vector, they have to multiply. Okay, then it is known as a good vector. So in a vector, what are the characteristics or criteria should be there? That is very much important, that is ORI, right? So what is origin of replication? See, it represents the site which starts the process of replication. So here this is the specific site, isn't that right? So what is that site? This is the specific site, isn't that? So that site which starts the process of replication, because from there only the hydrogen bond starts to break, new gene fragment will start to form, isn't that? So that specific region, and also specifies the number of replication, that means how many times it will replicate, right? So that is known as the copy number. So this ORI is not only the specific site from where the replication will be started, also it specifies how many copies or how many that vector can be formed, that will be also decided by the vector. So if any foreign gene is linked to ORI, suppose a foreign gene, here the foreign gene is linked to ORI, right? Then it also replicates itself along with ORI. That means, suppose along with the ORI we have introduced our gene fragment. So this gene fragment will start to replicate, isn't that? So our gene fragment will also replicate. So this is a very easy way how we can able to make the increased number of the gene fragment, right? So this is the first one, that is ORI. ORI means origin of replication, from where a vector will start its replication and form the two complete separate vectors. It just multiplies, that is the ORI. Next one, ROP. ROP stands for replication of the plasmid protein. Replication of plasmid protein means, see, whenever a process of replication is started, then remember lots of enzymes are needed, right? Suppose in our body the process of replication is going on, is it that one cell forms the next cell, so replication have to occur. So if a replication process is needed to occur, they require a number of enzymes, and ROP is the region who synthesize the protein necessary for the replication of the plasmid, right? So what happened for the replication process? Lots of enzymes means it is proteinaceous in nature. So a number of enzymes will be needed. So this enzymes or that protein will be synthesized by whom? By the ROP. Suppose this is the ROP. So this is the gene fragment, right? So this gene fragment will undergo transcription, form mRNA, undergo translation, form the protein. Okay. So this protein will be necessary for the process of replication. So this ROP must be present. Otherwise, if that vector don't have the ROP, then what will happen? This even vector cannot undergo replication, because for replication they need to have those enzymes, they need to have those protein. In presence of protein only the vector will able to multiply, isn't that? So that's why ROP is must. That means they need to have that specific region who can undergo the transcription and translation and can form the protein, and that protein will help in replicating the vector. Okay, so that's why ROP is must. Okay. Next one, selectable marker. Okay, so this thing is important. Now, suppose we have made one genetic makeup. That means in the vector we have inserted our gene fragment. Okay. Suppose this is the gene fragment which is introduced into a vector. We have made the rDNA, right? So this is suppose the rDNA. Understand? Then after that, to work or to replicate, they require one host body or not? So they require the host body. So whenever the host body will take the gene fragment along with the vector, that means the rDNA, how can we able to know? It's not possible that we can see it, isn't that? So whenever we introduce, how we will introduce the rDNA into the host body, that is the next part we will discuss. So whenever our gene fragment along with the vector, they are introduced, they are inserted inside the host body, we need to have some specifications so that we can able to find the recombinant or transformant from the non-recombinant or non-transformant. What is that meaning? See, these are the host, right? Now we have introduced our rDNA into the host body. So some of the host body will take, some of the host body will not take. Okay, suppose these two hosts have taken our gene of interest. Some of the other hosts, some of the other organism or some of the other bacteria, they are growing randomly, suppose, or they are not taking the gene of interest. Okay. So what happened? This will be this one, this one, this one, and this one. What are they? They are known as the non-transformant. Okay. And what then this. These two are known, they are known as transformant or recombinant. Okay, so transformant or recombinant, which is taking our gene of interest in that vector or that rDNA, and non-transformant or non-recombinant, what are they? They are not taking our gene of interest. So they need to have one selectable marker. That means it is not possible or it's not visible, or there is no another way how can we are able to find the recombinant from the non-recombinant. Otherwise, in a large scale, suppose if you want to make their products to be formed, then we obviously need to select the transformant which is having our gene of interest. Other unnecessary bacteria or another unnecessary suppose host body, we are not allowed to allow them to grow, because they will take also the same number of amount of nutrients. The nutrients will be consumed by the non-transformant also, and as a result, whatever the products we need to get, those products we cannot extract. Right? So that's why a selectable marker have to be present so that we can able to find the recombinant from the non-recombinant. And to understand what is selectable marker, we have a complete separate video on that, how we are able to find or how the selectable markers work. So this is just the basic idea. So what is selectable marker? It helps in differentiating the recombinants from the non-recombinants. There are two types of selectable markers present. One is antibiotic resistant gene and another is the enzyme producing gene. Antibiotic resistant genes, there are the two genes present. One is tetracycline resistant gene and another is the ampicillin resistant gene. And the next one is enzyme producing gene. There is one gene present, that is LAGZ. So LAGZ and the ampicillin resistant gene or tetracycline resistant gene, what are they? They are the selectable markers. So how the selectable markers will work, we will discuss in the next video. But till now, these are the selectable markers, just for your prior information. Last one, that is the cloning site. So if you don't have the cloning site, that will be not at all a vector. Okay, so what are those cloning sites? See, cloning site means it is just the recognition site. That means a vector need to have the recognition or the palindromic sequence within which the vector can be cut and a new gene can be inserted. So whenever we have inserted our gene fragment, what is that site known as? This site is known as the cloning site. Okay, so here itself I have told now with the ORI, if we allow to enter or insert our gene of interest, then what will happen? Along with the ORI, our gene fragment will also multiply, isn't that? So same thing, that region where we can able to cut the vector's gene fragment and a foreign gene fragment can be inserted, what is that known as? That will be known as the cloning site. Okay, so what is the cloning site here? See, cloning site is the site. It should have at least one recognition site for the restriction site, so that the vector can be cut to link the desired gene. Okay, so that we can able to introduce our gene fragment into the host body. What is that specific site known as? That will be known as the cloning site. So this is the cloning site where we have inserted our gene fragment. Understand? So a vector must have the cloning site, otherwise there is no use of the vector. Actually all of these four features that are must in that vector, then only it is possible that a proper biotechnological procedure can be completed. Okay, they must have ORI because they have the capacity to replicate. They must have ROP so that they must replicate, and for replication they require the proteins. So those proteins have to be formed by this vector itself. Next on selectable marker, whenever we have introduced our rDNA into the host body, that host body can be separated from the another organism, from the another bacteria or from some another foreign particle. How can we are able to find the recombinants which have our desired gene fragment with the non-recombinant or with the non-transformant? How? With the help of the selectable marker. And obviously that vector need to have that specific region where we can able to put our gene fragment into the vector so that the vector can multiply. So each one of them, these four, have to be present in the vector, then only a vector will be a vector. That means then only the vector can be considered as a good vector. So that's all about the characteristics of this vector. In the next video we will see in detail actually all of them, what are these. Okay, so that's all about the video. Hope you have understood. This is just the prior idea. If you don't understand also, that's okay, because later on whenever we will go on in entering into biotechnology, we'll understand all of these things. This is just the prior idea. Hope you have understood. Thank you.